Alright, Mysterious back again with another video. This video is called Why Getting a Girlfriend Ends Up Becoming the most important thing in your life as a young adult, or just as an adult in general. And the reason I'm making this video is because people don't often realize just how important this stuff is, or how important like having a girlfriend is and all this and having a relationship. They just think like, oh well, it's just something that happens, it's just an optional thing, an optional part of life. It'll happen eventually. If you wait long enough, eventually you get a girlfriend and all this. But if you watched some of my previous videos, you notice I talk about how getting a girlfriend when you're young is really important, because if you don't, you'll basically never get you'll never get a girl that's a virgin or like low body count, and you just miss out on a priceless experience. A truly priceless experience that once it's passed, you physically cannot get it back. Once time has gone, once a certain amount of years of your life has passed, it's physically impossible to get it back. And I'm not trying to exaggerate or like make this seem bigger than it is. I'm just giving you the honest truth, because I've had to deal with this firsthand. And I'm in this like weird zone where I can still save my life right now, but like the question is it worth it, and is it even realistic that I'm able to like fix my life and save it from the horror that's already been through and the atrocities I had to experience? Like that's the point I'm at, because I'm 22. I still have like the ability to shape and change my life. I can still like get a girlfriend and all this stuff, but it's tight because I feel like the window is closing. But anyway, let me get into the actual video and explain what I was trying to talk about. So when you actually think about it, a lot of guys who are older, who are in their 30s or in their 40s or whatever, and they wanted to experience this young love, they wanted to have a girlfriend, they wanted a relationship, and like they never got one. Like I'm talking about true forced loneliness, truly like lonely men who are older, who are like I just said, in their 30s and whatnot and older. There are guys out there who exist who are literally virgins in their 30s, who literally never had a girlfriend, like almost never kissed a girl, or like maybe have never kissed a girl. Like that's where you get the term KHV, like kissless, hugless virgin, right? And you can actually see some of these guys on YouTube that make videos and whatnot. And if these guys are making videos on YouTube, think about the guys that are not making videos. Think about the guys that are not uploading themselves to YouTube. They're just like they're just at their home by themselves, like not leaving the home, just completely alone, and just like not going outside at all. So for the amount of guys like you think like, oh yeah, they're virgins in their 30s and upwards, like there's gonna be even more guys who are like who also are, but don't even reveal themselves to the rest of the world. They just keep that hidden. They keep it to themselves. Maybe they lie about not being a virgin and all this, and yeah, they're just keeping that to themselves. You know what I mean? You can imagine what I'm talking about. But for a lot of these guys out there, if you could tell them, or if you could give them the chance to like go back in time to when they're younger, to when they're a teenager or young adult, and get with a girlfriend and get a girl, they would take that opportunity like they're taking a heartbeat. But what I'm trying to say is it's actually a priceless thing for them. Like for them to be able to experience like, young love, so to speak, is literally a priceless thing. And I think if you ask them, would they pay, like if they have like £10,000 in their savings, and you ask them to pay 1,000, they would probably do it in a heartbeat. They'd probably like, pay £1,000 to go like back in time, um, to experience like what they missed out on, or even more than that, even maybe like almost all the life savings, maybe almost all the life savings if you deep it, because like it's truly a priceless thing. Like I said, it's physically impossible to get back the opportunity to do it once it's passed. Like once you've missed out, it's physically impossible to get that back. You can try to make up for it for lost time, but you can never get that time back. And it's something that like you literally cannot put a number on. You can't really like put a number on like time travel and like the idea of being able to go back and change your life and fix things and experience something that like you can't pay for. Like you can't really pay for love. You can't really buy a girlfriend. You can't really like pay for love in that sense, apart from like hookers, but that's not really love, obviously. But yeah, like if you were able to present like any older guy who like missed out on these experiences, missed out on that true love, that young love, like just missed out on that part of their life, never had a proper girlfriend, still a virgin, like just completely hopeless, can't get anything. Like you see in these like loser type of videos, I feel like a lot of them would just give like almost all their money away just to be able to do that. And if you consider the fact that some of these people are on the verge of suicide, like, yeah, they really would like just give anything to go back in time and fix their life, because to them their life literally is over. To them their life literally is like just completely gone and completely fucked, and like there's nothing that can fix it. And the idea of being with a girl becomes the most important thing to them. And to a lot of people that sounds kind of dumb, like why would you make a girl the most important thing in your life? And like I get it, but the thing is they're not choosing that to be the case. They're not choosing, they don't really have the choice necessarily to even like decide what's important. Like if they're being forced to be alone, that's not up to them, that's not their choice. They're just like forced to be in that circumstance. And what I'm trying to say is like, if you go back to like the 1950s or 1960s, and like you had these like traditional households, you had these like nuclear households where like you'd have the man would go to work, he'd be able to make a living and then come home to his family, and he'd have a wife, he'd have kids, and like he'd just be able to come home to his family. That made sense, that seemed worth it. That seemed like a life worth living. You're working a job, yeah, you're wage slaving away, but you're making money so you can provide and come back home to a family that you care about. And then we're doing this in their early 20s, maybe even almost late teens, like early 20s, already on that, already getting married really young, like already having a family, like getting with a woman who's like a virgin, like having kids. Like that whole life, that whole traditional family seemed really worth it, and it seemed like it really like made sense and mattered, and it paid off and everything. Like it had a reason. But these days now it seems like none of that has a reason, like none of that has any meaning, because you don't get that. These days men go to work, they go home to nothing. They go home to their TV, they go home to like the laptop, they don't come home to a family or a wife or a girlfriend even, or anything remotely close to that. So them going to work, wage slaving away and all this stuff really doesn't seem worth it to them at all. It really seems like completely pointless. If they don't get to have a life worth living, if their life, if the life they're living doesn't pay off, like in some regard, if like the money they make doesn't make their life much better, they probably would rather just be like, unemployed, do nothing, and just play video games. Because even if you have money and you have a car and a house, like what good is it if you don't even have a good life? If you don't even have a good family or girlfriend, you don't have something that's basically priceless and like irreplaceable. It becomes like meaningless. This whole life, this whole thing, like that's why there's so many like suicides and everything, and that's why a lot of men are on the verge of suicide, and like a lot of guys are just thinking that, like they're just thinking that's the most logical thing to do, because they think they weighed all the options, they see they can't win at life, they're seeing that life isn't worth it. Even if they can get a job and like survive and all this and have a career, like all of that is just pointless to them if they can't do what they really want. If they can't truly get like an actual girlfriend, it's like there's literally no point to any of this to them. Like anything that you can think of, career, dreams, all that. And like even if you had a career, it makes it harder for you to like to do that and to live and to want to do that, because yeah, you've got this career going for you, but like you don't have the motivation to even do that, because you're being deprived of like your own biological need to like be with another person, and to have a partner. So it's almost like you're fulfilling this desire and goal, but like you're doing it in like a kind of meaningless type of way, where like it feels like it just feels empty and like shallow and like just soulless and like robotic. Like pursuing a career, pursuing like some like great career and trying to make money and go to university. It just feels like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do, that's what you're being told to do. But it really makes your life no much better, not much better than just like being broke, and just doing nothing almost, and just like rotting away playing video games, watching TV. It's not even much better for life if you don't get much out of it, if you don't actually like if it doesn't pay off. And for a lot of people, it doesn't. And they spend years holding on to that hope, holding on to that false hope, coping, telling themselves life's going to get better, telling themselves things are going to get better, and they just never do. They never actually do get better. They just stay the same. They basically stay the same way from when their life was when they were like a late teenager, like in their late teens, early 20s or whatever. It just stays the same exact way forever. The only thing is maybe they have a job and maybe they have some money. Maybe they have a place or like a sofa. But I can make so many comparisons where like a guy would rather like be with a woman and have a worse life in some aspects than to have a quote unquote good life or like successful career and be alone. Like I think most men, if you ask them, would you rather be like working some like some job at like Silicon Valley and making like a good salary, but you have to be like a virgin for the rest of your life, or would you rather be like on benefits, like living in a council flat and just like staying there for like most of your life or almost all your life, except you get to have like a amazing like 10 out of 10 wife. You get like a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 looking wife, and she's like perfect and everything, but you live with her, but you live in like some like council flat, like kind of a shithole like type of place, but then you have a TV and games and everything, versus like living in like a nice, really nice flat or penthouse, but like you basically just stay a virgin for the rest of your life. Like you never get a girlfriend, and you just have to your main focus in life is your career, like working like Silicon Valley. A lot of people would be like, yeah, that's just kind of shit, like having to like, yeah, it's cool to have a career and make money and like be objectively successful, but like if you don't actually enjoy your life, if you don't come home to something that's like worth living for, was actually the point. Like a lot of people, I think they would rather be broke and they would rather live like a dead end kind of life, like almost like a homeless person, like close to being like a homeless person, compared to like just being a wage slave, but then you get nothing out of it. I think a lot of men, if they could choose to have like a woman or a wife or a girlfriend, they would like gladly be poor if it was a guarantee, or like just be pretty bad off, like bad financially, like have how do I say it? They just have a lot of things in their life that they would sacrifice to have that, because I'm just saying, like it's a priceless thing to have. Like it's priceless to like have a wife or girlfriend, or like to experience love at like a younger age, and to have a wife that's like truly like perfect and like feels like she's made for you, and like just great in all aspects. It's not something you can even like pinpoint and say, oh, this is like worth this amount of money, or like this is worth this thing. It's like it's something that like a lot of men would give up a lot of things in their life for, or like they just think a lot of things in their life is not worth like having. Do you know what I mean? And I know I'm not really being a very like articulate, and I'm kind of just speaking very casually, but I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. But in like 2023 and 2024, for instance, I was like mostly by myself living at home, and I had my cat, and I didn't have to pay rent because I just lived in my mom's place, but she wasn't even there, so I mostly had the place to myself. And to be honest, it was a pretty nice like flat to stay in and live in and like go to bed and wake up in, and I didn't have to do too much. I could pretty much do what I want for the most part. And I realized like it would be so much cooler if I just had like a girlfriend here, if I just had like a wife or girlfriend, if I just had a girl here, and I just like was able to like just wake up to that and just live the same type of life, but just with another girl. Like it would literally just like everything would be better. Going to the cinema would be better. Going to like cafe, going to like a restaurant or something, like just anything like that would be like way better, rather than me being by myself. And yeah, what I realized is like that like I had mostly everything that I needed at the time. Like I had everything I really like needed to survive and just live a normal life. But what my only problem was just like I was basically alone, and the funny thing is, like, a lot of people, they don't even have like a place to themselves, or like, they don't have like freedom, or like they can just live with a girl or take a girl back to their place and all this, and like have a nice flat. And I got to experience like that kind of freedom for like a certain amount of time, for a good amount of time, but I was never able to like bring a girl back there or anything like that, because like I didn't have a girlfriend, obviously, so like there's nothing I could do. There's nothing I can do about that. I just have to like live with that and just accept like the fact that like I'm having to live in this type of situation where like I can't change like my environment or anything. I can't change my life. Like I can't make this better. I just have to, play video games, watch films, maybe go to work and all this, and just accept my life. But I can't really like do anything to make it better. Do you know what I mean? Because that's just how my life was. And now I'm thinking like I'm in a worse position, is like in terms of my living condition. Like this flat is dirtier and it's like messier and stuff. But and it's smaller, so I can't. It's not as ideal to like bring a girl back to, or like chill out and just like play video games or do whatever I want to do. It's not as ideal, but I'm also in a place, because since I've moved city and country, it's easier for me to get girls or talk to girls or approach them and like do all that. But then like I've like I'm in a position where I've kind of sacrificed one thing for the other. I've sacrificed the home that I've stayed in. Well, not by choice, but I've sacrificed the home that I've stayed in and the condition that I was in before that was objectively better, to live somewhere worse. But like where I am now, it's way significantly easier to talk to girls and get girls and all that stuff. And like to have a relationship, like it's way more doable than where it was before. It's just now I can't even do the other things I want to do because I'm living in like kind of a shithole. I don't have my PS5. Like I'm just training MMA and going to the gym and like, living like some hermit kind of. And I go to the club sometimes on the weekends. That's a good way for me to talk to people. But that's basically it. It's not like I have things figured out or have like a place to myself and like have this life I get to live or have a roommate. I'm kind of living in a shithole, but I'm still grateful for what I have. But yeah, my point that has been the whole video is like the experiences I missed out on as well. Like when I was younger, like if I could like change what happened, it really would be like just like it would be worth it, all the money I have in my bank account. I mean, my savings, my life savings. Like for me to go back to 2018, change everything would literally be like worth more than like anything in my life savings, anything that I own. Like it would truly be priceless. And like once you get to that point where you realize that, where like so much time has gone and you've lost so much, that you realize that like that's really true. Like it kind of does something to you. Like it changes your whole like mentality and so in mind in some ways, and you realize like there's nothing you can do to get that back. And it's really like kind of heartbreaking in some ways. But the main thing I realized is like the way I was born, or like the way I kind of grew up, or like where I was born, it just changed. It just kind of made my life worse, because if I was just born in a different country or city, it could have been drastically different. Just from that alone, like my life could have been, that part of my life could have been way different. And there is a parallel universe probably where I do get exactly what I want and everything does work out for the better and I did win. But that isn't the universe we're in now. Those are those alternate timelines where like, I won, I got what I wanted and everything went my way. But I have to accept the reality in the universe I'm in now, which is not ideal, but I'm also not completely fucked. There's still hope for me, I know that. And that's the thing, I'm just holding out hope for myself. But it's just brutal seeing these other people on YouTube, these older guys, these guys in their 30s or 40s who have like true loneliness, they've lost time that they literally can never ever get back. They've missed out on experiences that are worth more than anything that they fucking own, like worth more than their house or career or like money they have or possessions. Like the experiences and the time they've lost is truly priceless. And I really want to emphasize that for you to understand what I'm trying to say, because I'm tired of telling people telling me like, oh, things will work out, or eventually things will go the way you want, or like, and all this stuff, and just acting as if like things just work out for the better, or as if things just like magically unfold the way they need to, or just like they magically like just turn out for the good, because they really don't. You know, you have to like make those things happen if they even have a chance of that happening in the first place. They're not just gonna like, you know, yeah, they're not just gonna happen magically unless you have some insane luck or whatever. I wouldn't hope on that. I would think I'd try to plan something that would have a protocol, because if I was to go back in time and change things for the better, I know pretty much exactly what I'd do, and I know how I'd go about doing things. That's the thing. And I know like if I was to go back, I wouldn't like squander it. I wouldn't like treat it like not a big deal. I wouldn't treat it like it's not a big deal. I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm just back when I was younger and just like, you know, in the same place I was when I was like a teenager. I'd be like, no, like this is like a golden diamond opportunity that I cannot miss. I can't fuck this up, because otherwise if I do, I am like fucked for like over half a decade at least, or half a decade probably. Because I kind of felt that. I kind of felt like if I, even at the time, like when I lost, or like when this was all happening, I kind of felt like, yeah, like that is a huge possibility. Is that like I just end up alone and just like nothing good comes from this, nothing, like I never get a girlfriend, nothing good comes from it, and I just end up like losing pretty much, you know. And I felt like that was a real possibility, but I never wanted to think that was actually like gonna happen. You know, I didn't want to believe that was actually gonna happen. And to be honest, that is what ended up happening, at least for like half a decade of my life. And it was quite shit, you know, like I really had hope that I could win and I could make the life that I wanted as a teenager, as a younger teen, or even it's like from my mid to late teens, I had a hope that I could do that. But then I just couldn't, you know, I just didn't have what I needed to do what I wanted to do. I didn't have the ability. I just wasn't good enough. You know, I just wasn't. And for most guys, that is a story of their life. They weren't attractive enough, they weren't tall enough, they weren't confident enough, they weren't good looking enough, or sometimes they were. But the point is that they didn't have the courage to just go up and like talk to a girl, or just go up and like speak to a girl, because that for a lot of guys is terrifying. You know, it really is like terrifying for a lot of guys out there, because, you know, women, like they can accuse guys of like rape and like just accuse a guy of like assaulting them and all this stuff, and people will just believe it. So if a guy goes up to a girl and like he's ugly and the girl just makes a scene and just starts like playing victim or some shit, the guy might be like just taken back completely and be like, yo, what the fuck is going on? And think like that's just insane, like to just do that, to just like, I don't know, gaslight the guy. But that's the thing, is like people think like the worst that a woman can say is like no. Is like if you approach them and you ask them out, is like the worst they can say is like no, or that's like the worst scenario that can happen. It's like no, that is not the worst that can happen. The worst that can happen is like they just start like gaslighting you, like pull a camera out, start acting as if you're a weirdo, like start like acting as if you're like stalking them or some shit. Just making a scene, just make a scene out of it, and just act as if you're being a creep, and just like, you know, basically that, you know, just basically gaslight you and play victim and then cause a fucking scene. You know, what is actually the worst thing that can happen if you approach a woman? Like the worst thing that can happen is she accuses you of sexual assault. That's probably the actual like worst thing that can happen on paper. And then people just start believing it, and then maybe you get like arrested or some shit. Like that's probably like the worst thing I can literally think of off the top of my head that could happen. You know, like there is a reason why like men are afraid of women. It's not just, oh, they're afraid because they'll say no. Like if they were afraid, if that was the worst thing that could happen, men would be approaching women a lot more. Like if that was if that was the biggest fear they have, I think they'd approach women a lot more. The biggest fear is not like that. It's like just social ostracization and just isolation and all this stuff. It's not that, like, and the thing is, you need to like live somewhere where like that isn't like the case, like that isn't true. Like, sorry, that didn't make sense. One is like you need to live somewhere where like that just doesn't happen, or like that doesn't happen often, or if that was to happen, like people wouldn't really like believe that off of like straight away. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm living here in Germany. I'm in Germany right now, and if a guy comes up to you and like you reject him, and then you start acting as if he's like a weirdo or something like that, you actually look like the weirdo, and because the guy isn't doing anything wrong, and people from Germany, they're not like stupid. Like they know when like people try to scam them and stuff, they can kind of see through people's lies. So if you just start like, as a woman, just start playing a victim and acting as if the guy is a weirdo, and like it's not 100% true, like you will look like a weirdo, and you'll look quite like low class and like just cheap and just like a low class type of person. Like it's not really like a classy thing to like, you know, play victim as a woman. Over here at least, you know, they don't like really have that type of culture, you know. And that's something I really like about this place, is that, you know, the police don't fuck around. Like if you're gonna accuse something of someone, you have to be like 100% true, otherwise no one's gonna believe you. And also like you yourself can get in trouble for like accusing someone of doing something bad, all this stuff. And then on top of that, like, because in the UK I could feel that a lot. Like I feel like women would always try to treat you as if you're like a weirdo when like you ever try to approach them, or like if you ever try to talk to them or like approach them, they'd always have this vibe as if like they think you're a weirdo, even if they never said that, or like, yeah, even if they just never said that, just like the way they look at you and stuff, as if they perceive you as like just some like monster or something. But here, like, there's so many weirdos here that like you'll never be like the weirdest guy here. Like where I'm in Germany, there's so many weirdos. Like you'll never be the weirdest person. There'll always be someone weirder than you. There'll always be like legitimately like weird bad people, and like people can tell like you're not, you know, like a bad guy. That's the thing, is like when other countries, like you'll see these videos on YouTube where like a woman will be at the gym lifting weights, and then she'll act as if the guy is like staring at her and like being a creep and like invading her space. But we all know that's obviously not true. We all know it's like just a girl like wanting attention and like playing a victim and wanting attention and all this stuff. But like here in Germany, that doesn't really happen. Like that doesn't really fly over here. But in America and the UK, I feel like that is more of a common thing to just like, you know, just to have that type of vibe and culture, and to just to be like that and just accuse people of like shit. And you know, you see it with like a lot of celebrities, but yeah, they often get, a lot of celebrities, they get like accused of certain crimes and stuff. But yeah, I was just going over that because the thing is like, if like approaching women is like what's stopping men from like getting the life that they want, then like these are the reasons why that's happened. These are the reasons why they're afraid to approach. They're afraid to approach because of the reasons like I've just mentioned here, which is basically causing a butterfly effect, because now they've not approached a girl that could potentially be their actual girlfriend if they just went up to them, or future wife, best case scenario. Now they just like missed out on a whole like amazing life experience just out of fear and social like ostracization, which is like fucking crazy. So yeah, I know I'm going over like a bunch of different topics. I know I'm kind of rambling, just speaking loads of different topics, but I have to just get this off my chest and off my mind, because I know there's a lot of guys who like relate out there, and I'm covering things that like a lot of people can relate to, which I think is good. It's a longer video here, but yeah, like if you think about it, like let's say you're in a bar, right, and you're a guy and you go up to a girl and you approach her, or you're about to approach her, but then like the bartender just like, let's say there's some female bartender just steps in your way, and she's got like rainbow hair, and she's like a like politically correct woman, and she acts as if like you're bothering her. She acts as if you're bothering the woman there when you're literally just approaching a girl. And the bartender just goes like, what are you doing? Like, why are you being a creep? and just tells you to like go away or like tries to like intrude on you, like pretty much. Well, let's say like that woman that you're about to approach at the bar was like could have been like potentially your wife. Like let's say like if you had approached her, she would end up being your girlfriend. You'd end up going out, and then eventually she'd be your wife. And then just because of this bartender getting in your way and just like stopping you from approaching this girl, she's basically just stopped the whole like canon event from happening. She stopped the whole like butterfly effect. She's literally like completely fucked over your life just because she decided to be a Karen. Literally just ruined your life. And to her, she doesn't view it that way. To her, like she doesn't even think that. She doesn't even realize that. But this like bartender has basically just like ruined your whole life just because she stopped you from approaching a girl because she's trying to make you look like a weirdo. And there's different examples of this in life where like, you know, you'll try to talk to a girl and they'll be like a fridge. There'll be the fridge protecting the snacks. There'll be the fat girl trying to get in your way, trying to stop you from talking to her. And just loads of examples like that. Like you try to go to a girl, she has a fat friend, and the fat friend gets in the way, even though the girl was actually interested in you and stuff like that. And like these like scenarios are literally like butterfly effects. These are like butterfly effects, snowball effects, whatever. Like if they had gone well, if they had gone right, like the way that you wanted, or the way that they imagined, or the way they could have, it could have literally changed your life. But because someone just decided to ruin it, like basically your life is ruined because just someone decided to be a fucking like cunt that day. Do you know what I mean? And these are the other like things that stop men from like approaching girls, making the move, actually doing what they want in life. But for all of you guys who like have to experience the similar stuff that I just mentioned, all the stuff I just mentioned over the past half hour, all the experiences, all like the traumatizing experiences and all this stuff, you have to be willing to be seen as a bad guy sometimes and like just be okay with like being hated on, being judged. You know, being hated on, being judged, being seen as like the bad guy, being seen as a weirdo, like you have to be like okay with that because every time you like pretty much approach a girl or go out and do that, like you're risking that in some way. But you have to be content with that. Just be like, okay, people are going to think about me in a certain way. I have to be okay with it and I don't really care. And that's kind of how I am, you know. Like, plenty of people in my life have thought like I'm a weirdo. I've thought that there's something wrong with me. I've like tried to like gaslight me and say like I'm a crazy person, all this. And I've had some people hating on me as well. But I don't really give a fuck because usually these people don't even know who I am. Like, they just straight up don't know who I am. And it's usually just people off like social media, like judging me off social media. But yeah, like I don't give a fuck because I literally have nothing to lose. Like when I deep it, like I literally have nothing to lose at this point. Quite literally have nothing to lose. Like anything that I've cared about, everything that I wanted in my life, that I've lost. It's put me in a scenario where I have nothing to lose now. Like now I should be able to like do whatever I want. You know, it's like the quote from Fight Club, like it's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything. And if you're in a similar position as an older guy or just as any guy in general, like you should think about that. Like if you've really lost out on experience, you have nothing to lose. And you should feel like you can just do whatever you want as long as it's legal. You should be able to like approach a woman and just have no fear and all this stuff. You know, if it's completely legal, like the way you're doing it, then there should be no problem with that. That's the thing. So that's what I have to say for most guys out there. And yeah, like don't let other people change the course correction of your whole life just because you let someone get in the way of you or just because someone wants to like get in your way and ruin your life and make things worse. Don't let someone like create these like butterfly effects or that could happen. Just do things your own way. Like believe in yourself. Don't be afraid to be seen as like the bad guy. Just live your life. Like you're not got much to lose. The world is already shit. The world is already gone to shit. The economy is gone down the drain. Like we've already lost so much as men in general. We don't have much left to lose overall. We don't have much left to lose anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like chances are you've already lost everything that you cared about, or like you've lost so many things in your life that you don't really have anything to lose, similar to me. And with that should become like zero fear to go and get what you want. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, you know, the economy's gone down the shitter. The UK, where I was from, has just collapsed, and now I can do what I want. You know, everything's destroyed now, so now I can just do whatever I want without any fear, and I'm grateful for that. Anyway, mysterious out. I hope some of you resonated with this video. See y'all later.